Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Let's talk about the Trilogy today. I want to tell you about the health benefits of what I call the Trilogy. But first I need to tell you exactly what this is. The Trilogy is something I made up of 3 magical, powerful cultured foods that I consume every day. They are Kefir, Kombucha, and cultured vegetables. And they are my secret weapon for health. They have changed my life because they are not only delicious, but they have an extraordinary ability to speak to the cells of my body and really change me from the inside out. These are the 3 foods that I have made that have found stronger than anything else I've ever consumed, that have made me happier than I can express. And they can do the same thing for you. You simply have to bring them into your life. And it was kind of interesting how I came up with this, because it was really through observation for myself and for my family and for the people that I help, that when people added these foods to their life, and if they added one of them, say they added Kefir, they did great. They saw benefits, but when they added all 3 of them, it not only changed me so much, changed my family, but I noticed that it changed other people. And I believe it was because the diversity of the bacteria that are in each of these foods, they're different. And so when you combine them all and you add them to your life, it really can change you from the inside out. It's fantastic, guys. I can't express to you how wonderful it is to feel good all the time. It is something that I really want for you, because you don't know what you're missing. You don't know how awesome it is to feel good all the time. And I saw a quote the other day from Socrates that said, "What a disgrace it is for a man or a woman to grow old without ever seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." And that is really true for me, because as I get older, I'm almost, in March I'll be 58. And I can't tell you how good I feel. It's just ridiculous how fun it is to get up every day and to do what I love, to help people, but to feel good in my own body. And when you feel good in your own body, you start to love your body in a way that you never have before. You appreciate its strength and its beauty, and it begins to show you its secrets. And it's this 2-way street. When you take care of it, it takes care of you. It was funny this week. We moved this last year to be near our older kids. Our 2 older kids moved here to California. And they were whining and telling us, "Are you guys going to come? Are you going to move out here?" And since we can do our business anywhere, we decided we would take the big leap and move out here to be near our family and bring our whole family together again. Now, moving across country is kind of brutal. So it wasn't easy at all. But now that we're here and we're a family together, I can't tell you how happy I am to be see all my family, to be together Christmas and holidays. And the kids come up a lot on the weekends. And my youngest daughter, 16, she's 16, and she missed her brother and sister terribly. But it's wonderful to be a family. But what I have discovered is that I want to do so many things here because the weather's so nice, but my body has the energy to do it. And a few days ago, my husband, I've been kind of talking to him about this. He got me a surfboard because I've been talking about paddleboarding and surfboarding. And I am so excited that he got me a surfboard, because I am doing it. I'm so doing it. Now that I have a board, I'm going out. I'm trying it. I'll start with paddleboarding, and then I'm going to try to learn to surf. We'll see what happens. But my husband is threatening to get a GoPro camera and record me the first time I get knocked off and to see him try to get up on the board, which God have mercy on his soul if he tries to record me. But anyway, I wouldn't do that if I didn't feel good. And all the things that I want to do, I just feel like my body is capable of doing a lot of things that I didn't even do when I was younger, because I feel good all the time. It's a blast to feel good. And the really neat thing about that is when you feel good, you want to help other people feel that way, because I used to feel horrible. Like, it was bad. I didn't have energy to do anything. Cleaning my house was a big chore. And, I just kind of got through the day. I didn't feel good all the time. And when I realized that my body had the ability to keep me well, and I found these cultured foods, what we're talking about today, the Trilogy, everything changed for me, guys. Everything. And I had energy to do things I never thought I would ever be able to do. For years, I had been making these foods for years. And it just got to a point where people were bothering me so much and bugging me so much, and I wanted me to write books. And doing classes and things, and I didn't really want to do that, but it got to a point where I couldn't not do it. And what came from it has been a wonderful thing. I kind of found my way through trial and error I kind of got forced into doing this business because things happened in our lives that made me do something productive to help us. We'll have to tell a story about that. That's a really interesting story, but I kind of felt like I got hit over the head by a 2x4 before I started this business. And I didn't want to do it because I felt inadequate. I felt insecure. I didn't think I'd be very good at it. And it wasn't until I started really feeling better that I realized that I did have treasures hidden inside of me, that I loved helping people, that I loved speaking, that I loved writing. And I didn't even know any of those things existed until I started feeling good. And here I am many years later. I think this is our, 7th anniversary with my business, I think. And now we have a lot of people that work with us. And it's just been a wonderful ride to get involved in people's lives and help them to experience the things that I've experienced. I was on my Facebook page today and people were writing about all the benefits and how well they're feeling, and eczema was going away and all these different ailments they had. And I just get teared up when I read those things because I thought, you know what? Maybe they wouldn't know about if I hadn't gotten sick and I hadn't struggled so bad that I looked for answers, and then I found the answers and then I shared them with you guys. I mean, it's such a win-win with everybody. When you get better, you help everybody else get better because you radiate that. You can't help it. So let me tell you about these foods because I love these foods. These foods are like, I can't go through the day without them because it's like I'm brushing my teeth or something because they're just such a habit for me. And it's so easy, guys. I'm not telling you to change your whole diet, although there are very many benefits to that. Eventually you get healthier and healthier and healthier. You just kind of start putting in the good stuff, just a little bit at a time. And eventually you crowd out the bad stuff. And that's kind of what I did with these foods. And when I did, it changed everything for me. So let me talk to you about them because I want you to understand why they're so powerful and how they can help you. Because when you understand, you have wisdom about it, it helps you to want to do it. It helps you to understand it and it helps your body to understand why they're so good for you. So you and I are 500 different strains of bacteria that's living within inside of us. And you're 100 trillion bacteria in total, if not more. That's just scratching the surface. But your bacteria is mostly keeping you well every day. 99% is harmless or good bacteria. And you want lots of diversity to keep you healthy and strong. That's how bacteria works. The more they have in numbers, the stronger they become, and then they kill off the weaker or pathogens in your body, and they dominate and keep you well. So if you have been taking a lot of antibiotics or use a lot of antibacterial products, and let's talk about this, okay? Here's the deal with antibacterial soaps. The chemical triclosan in these soaps can really mess you up. It can harm your thyroid. It's hard on your liver. It kills both good and bad bacteria. So then the bad bacteria, what it does is it mutates to get stronger. And these types of soaps are not making things better. They're really not, because they're killing both the good and the bad bacteria. And the FDA has now come out and said that they're not even as effective as soap and they can cause harm to people. So it's not just me saying this, but now for the record, they're saying it too. And I'm not against antibiotics or, I think they're necessary sometimes in our lives when things get haywire. But I do think that the good bacteria is the thing we should concentrate on. And just like I believe that when you focus on the good, and the good is you are mostly good bacteria, and the more you build that up, the stronger you become and the less chance you have of ever needing antibiotic ever. And you can always build it up, even if you've got to take antibiotics. The body's pretty smart, and these foods are a great way to do that. Bacteria is, some people are stronger than others. So sometimes there are certain antibiotics that you can take that are really strong. And if you don't finish the entire regimen of antibiotics, then some bacteria survives and pass it on, and then you become resistant to antibiotics, and you don't want that. So you want to follow your doctor's advice, but you do want to replenish your body's good bacteria. And you can even take these foods when you're taking antibiotic. It would really help you to do that. And I have an article on my website at culturedfoodlife.com. Type in antibiotics and you'll see an article that says, can I take antibiotics? Can I take these probiotic foods while I'm taking antibiotics? And yes, you can. And I tell you how to do it because it's important that you try as much as you can to keep those good bacteria thriving because all they're going to do is help you. And even if you have to take antibiotics. See, in antibacterial soaps, they kill that bacteria that are helpful to the body because they kill the good bacteria too. And so more and more people are getting worried that we could have an antibiotic crisis because so many people are taking them for, a lot of people. And even when I was a young woman, I wanted them for when my kids got really sick and they got a virus and they couldn't get over it. Well, antibiotics don't work on a virus. They only work on bacteria. So you want, to be careful to not take them for things like viruses because they don't work. They're not effective on them. And it can become a scary thing if we were to have an antibiotic crisis where these superbugs are growing and multiplying. But that doesn't have to happen as long as we have a lot of good bacteria in our bodies and around us. So that being said, what do? You have to build up the good bacteria and the strains that are killed off when you take antibiotics or just in general in your life, because other things can kill bacteria, processed foods, things like that are harmful to the body. Can cause some of the bacteria that you're not feeding. If you don't feed your bacteria a lot of good prebiotic foods, and if you're just feeding it junk food, a lot of your good bacteria dies because it doesn't have any food to digest to grow and multiply. So you want to feed your body things that your microbes can eat because they're actually trying to keep you well. Okay, so let's talk about the three components of what I call the trilogy. It's a little intense, not too bad. But I do them all at once, or you can pick, spread them out throughout the day. You can do either one. I kind of do both. I do them whenever the mood hits. And this is kind of what I did, and I mastered it and went on to the next thing because I started with kefir, and that was the first cultured food I ever found. And I did that for a while, and then I went to kombucha and cultured vegetables, and I did them one by one till I mastered them all. And then I have them all in my diet all the time. And it's pretty easy to do. You can buy these foods at the health food store anywhere. They're wonderful. And they have so many, they're everywhere now. Now, the ones at home are going to be much stronger than the ones that you buy at the store, just because it's always better to make things at home. But the first one that I tried, and I'm going to tell you about the first thing I did, was kefir. That was the first food I tried that changed my whole life. It changed my little 4-pound preemie's life. It changed my life. I had diabetes and high blood pressure and depression and everything else you could imagine. And kefir turned it all around for me. And it was the first food I tried. And I think it's a great place to start for people because it has the most beneficial bacteria in it of any of the foods. And if you don't know what kefir is a fermented product. And it can be non-dairy and it can be dairy. It can be goat's milk. It can be almond milk, it can be coconut milk, and I've got 17 different ways to make kefir non-dairy on my website. And then I've got regular kefir, dairy kefir, and I've got goat's milk kefir. And I just wrote a blog about goat kefir. And guys, goat kefir is the bomb because it has so many more benefits than even cow's milk because goat's milk is a prebiotic. So it's got I think it's oleosaccharide in it. That's also in mother's milk, and it really makes a difference when you make kefir with goat's milk. It works really good. But I also have some almond milk kefirs, and I have coconut, and I have a real thick one that's like Greek yogurt kefir that I just learned how to do this year. That's wonderful. I have hazelnut. I have rice. Oh, we have so many. I can't even remember them all. Pistachio, walnut. Trying to remember them all. There's so many. But anyway, if you go to my site and type in non-dairy on the search, you'll see all of them. And but then I've got the regular ones too. And they're easy to make. You're basically just placing a culture in a jar with some milk or non-dairy milk, either one, and putting on your counter for 24 hours in a jar with the lid. The next day got kefir. That's how simple it is. And it was where I started and I'm thankful it was very easy because yogurt's a lot harder to make than kefir. And I was very thankful that it was easy because I wouldn't have made it if it was hard because I didn't feel good. I was tired. And it changed everything for me. The cultured milk product called kefir or the non-dairy milk product, it really is loaded with so many different strains of bacteria and good yeast. And we need good yeast too. And people don't know about that because we only think yeast is bad. But yeast is really good. There's some powerful probiotics that are made from yeast. And we're going to talk about that in this broadcast because it's really important that you understand how it works in your body. And most yogurt has about 7 to 10 strains in it. And yogurt can help you greatly because it can keep your stomach happy. But it doesn't last very long. It doesn't only last a few days. And so kefir, on the other hand, has many strains of bacteria that last a very long time. And because there's so many different, and there's a few of them in kefir that cannot be killed by antibiotics. So that's kind of cool too. It helps keeps your belly happy long term, but it also keeps other parts of your body growing strong. And it's really wants to make your body its home. It colonizes inside of you, which is a very cool thing. And it's very strong. And so when you're starting out, I recommend you start out slowly, like maybe a fourth of a cup, because you're flooding your body with billions of good bacteria. Yogurt has so many less good bacteria, and so it doesn't seem to have quite the effect that kefir does because kefir is so strong. So when you're first starting out, start out slowly and see how you do. There's so many benefits. Let me list some of these benefits that is so readily available for you with kefir. And before refrigeration, fermentation is how people kept their foods from spoiling. And they used to make kefir a lot. It's what preserved their milk because their milk wouldn't last very long. But some of the benefits from kefir can be, it can eliminate constipation. It can reduce or eliminate allergies, enhance digestion, reduce or eliminate asthma symptoms. And this is something I have seen firsthand. Reduce or eliminates colds and flus, helps with acne, fantastic for yeast infections, promotes a natural feeling of well-being. That's due to the serotonin that's made when you drink kefir. It acts as a strong natural antibiotic without the side effects. It replenishes the body with good bacteria, and especially after antibiotic use. It can help treat diarrhea. It can help lactose intolerance because kefir is 99% lactose free because all the sugars have been eaten out of the milk by the kefir, by the little microbes in the kefir. So it makes it sour and tart. So it's mostly it's 99% lactose free. So I know so many people who are lactose intolerant who do absolutely fine on kefir. It's fantastic for helping with blood sugar. That's what happened to me. It helped me balance my blood sugars. It helped me lower my blood pressure. It supported my immune system in a very strong way. That was something I really noticed. And the other thing that I really noticed was it helped eliminate acid reflux because my husband had that, I had that, and it's fantastic for doing that. I need to do a whole show on that because that is really interesting how that works. So there are 2 ways to make kefir. You can do it with grains, which are little pieces. They're not really grains. They're like little pieces of combinations of bacteria and yeast. They're kind of rubbery and they look like cauliflower, and they're not from the grain family. They just call them that. Sometimes they call them seeds, but they grow and multiply and they'll last your lifetime if you take care of them. And you can make kefir by you just place them in the milk and then you strain them out before you want to drink it. Or you can use the powder, which we call easy kefir, which is made from kefir grains, but it's really easy. I recommend this for people who are super busy because you just throw the powder in the jar, let it sit for 24 hours, and then it's done. You put it in the fridge, but then you can take a fourth a cup of that and add it to new milk and make another batch. So it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going for a very, very long time. And you still get the benefits, but you don't have to care for the grains because the grains are kind of like a pet. And you've got to feed them and care for them or they die. And then don't tell me if they die because it upsets me. It makes me cry because I have had my kefir grains for forever. So they won't let me see the emails when people kill their kefir grains at my business because I tend to freak out a little bit because I love them and I know their ability to keep people well. And the thing about it is they can't make kefir grains. Scientists have tried to make them. They can't do it, which I love. I love that. They've tried to reproduce them and to no avail. So kefir grains have been around for forever. And they go way back. I have a whole thing on my website about the history of kefir grains. It's kind of interesting. And there's a lot of drama. It's like a movie. People were stealing them, and the Tsar in Russia wanted them. They were trying to take princesses and steal them so they could get kefir grains, and it was quite the drama. But anyway, because some of the armies were doing better than the other armies, and they were crediting it to the kefir grains. And so the other countries wanted them, but they couldn't get them. And so they've been around they said they go back to the time of the patriarch Abraham. They found in his scrolls in Turkey that he credited them with his long life. That's what I've heard. It's one of the legends, or, I've heard it from, I think I heard it from Donna said that. And it was in one of her books. But it's interesting how far back they go. And they're very, very easy to make. Kefir is such an easy thing to make, and I think it would greatly benefit you. Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is cultured vegetables. I love them. They are so wonderful, and I've done quite a few radio shows on them. And they're so beautiful sitting on my counter fermenting. I love to make cultured vegetables. I just went to the store the other day and got some golden beets. And I love to put them in my cultured vegetables because they taste so good. They taste like sunshine. And I'll put a few of them in mix some cabbage. And I have some recipes on my website with them. And I love the flavor of them. They taste so good. And they're loaded with vitamin C. And for instance, 1 cup of cabbage that's not fermented is 70 milligrams of vitamin C. But when you ferment it, it skyrockets to 700 milligrams. And most of that is due to the powerful guys in cultured vegetables called Lactobacillus Plantarum. And that bacterium is able to overpower many bad bacteria by taking the nutrients they need to survive. And then that weakens those harmful bacteria and prevents them from attaching to the mucosal lining of the intestines, so you don't get those bacteria to stay in the body. They're destroyed. And we have actually enhanced these bacteria in our cultured vegetables. We have a product called Cutting Edge Culture, which I love. You can also make it without the product. You can just do salt, but you won't have, the bacteria doesn't last as long in the cultured vegetables just because there's not enough food for it. So I like the culture. I saw a big difference when we started adding a culture to our cultured vegetables. They lasted longer in the fridge, and then we had it tested. We had a PhD review on it because I wanted to see why they seemed to work so much better for me. And it was because we were giving them food and keeping them really strong. And it also makes them taste better. They don't get there's a yeast that can form on cultured vegetables called common yeast. And I noticed that didn't form as easily when we used a culture. And it took the worry out of making them. And then you can always reuse the brine from your cultured vegetables to make another batch. So it's really affordable, because you can just keep reusing the brine as long as you make them enough, and it can last you a long, long time. And they have the starter culture that you add. You're just basically chopping up vegetables, adding salt, and then putting it in a jar, taking the air out. You can add an airlock lid if you want. You don't have to. I like them because it makes them more crunchy, my vegetables. But if you don't have to do that. If you just have a mason jar, they work great. I did that for years. And you just let them sit on your counter for anywhere from 3 to 6 days, depending on the recipe. And you let them ferment, and then you put them in the fridge, and they'll last like 9 months in your fridge. And you want to make sure you add salt. You want to have salt with minerals, because salt with minerals, fermenting, when you ferment, they love minerals. Microbes love them. Your body loves it. So you want to always add salt, because your vegetables will turn mushy and soggy if you don't. And I've done that several times, and it was not very good, not very appetizing. So salt keeps them crunchy, but you want to have salt that has minerals, because that is good for your body and good for your ferments, because they ferment better. And we have a lot of benefits. Let me give you some of the benefits on cultured vegetables. Now, it's really good for diarrhea or constipation. It helps regulate you. Now, in the beginning, when you first start taking them, it may clean house. It kind of works like a SWAT team. Goes in, cleans out things that shouldn't be in there. So you may have some loose bowels when you first start, but then that usually subsides, because it does really want to colonize you and keep out those harmful ones. So it will remove them. It's really good for adrenals. Oh gosh, guys, especially if you have seasonal allergies, I really recommend that you make some of these for when you have seasonal allergies or even just allergies in general. The high vitamin C content is so powerful. I can't tell you how many times I've just swigged some of this juice, and within 20 minutes, I'll feel a boost. And that's just from the powerful amounts of vitamin C and also the microbes that are in here that support your adrenals, help your body to fight things, and really keep you feeling great. It helps with weight loss. It's really good for that. It really kind of calms your appetite down. It's fantastic for candida because there's so much good bacteria that it crowds out the candida and it kills it as well. And you really, if you're struggling with it, I highly recommend you make a batch of cultured vegetables and just have a spoonful every day or a couple times a day. It's just that little amount makes a huge difference. It can reduce or eliminate allergies. I just saw a post on Facebook where the woman said her allergies are gone. She just posted on there today saying that she doesn't have any more allergies anymore. And that happened to me. I had 4 allergies for 30, 40 years. And my allergies went away when I started eating cultured vegetables, kefir, and the Trilogy. It can help relieve any of the symptoms of bowel disease, any kind of stomach distress. It reduces inflammation in the body. It's fantastic for that. Joint pain. It combats colds and flus, and it alleviates the symptoms of food poisoning. And that I know firsthand because that happened to me. That was the first thing that happened to me when I found cultured vegetables and started making them. That was what made me sit up and take notice that something was happening here. And because I was so sick and then suddenly I wasn't. And it was due to the powerful microbes in cultured vegetables. And those microbes are called Lactobacillus Plantarum, and I love them, and I like to say their name because they've helped me so much. Okay, now the third part of the Trilogy is kombucha. And I love kombucha. And I like water kefir too. If you don't know what that is, that's water kefir is different than regular kefir. It's made with different grains, different cultures. And you basically are fermenting water with some sugar in it that it eats all the sugar out. It makes this bubbly, effervescent drink. And I love water kefir. However, I have not received the benefits from water kefir as much as I have from kombucha. And so kombucha is my choice because I think it's more powerful. It just has had an ability to assist me in ways that water kefir did not do as well. I still think it's great, but I didn't make it part of the Trilogy because I think that actually the regular kefir is stronger, and I like kombucha better. Let me explain why. Kombucha is a bubbly fermented tea, and you make that by combining some tea, some sugar, a starter culture, and a yeast called a SCOBY. And it is fantastic because what it does is the SCOBY doesn't make the kombucha. The starter tea makes the kombucha, but the SCOBY helps make the kombucha stronger and more effective, and it helps it to ferment faster. So you want that, and it has the ability to do things that maybe water kefir doesn't. For instance, it's greatly assists your liver in detoxifying you. It is a powerful thing for people who are going through menopause or having hormonal symptoms or adrenal fatigue. You want some kombucha in your life because it's going to get rid of those. By assisting your liver, it helps you to remove some of those hormones that are circulating your system that don't belong there. Like, for instance, when you're having perimenopause or menopause and you've got too much estrogen in your body, and the body doesn't know what to do with it, so it heats you up and gives you hot flashes to try to sweat it out of you. Well, kombucha will help you. And I really didn't get hot flashes. I don't think I got any. And maybe 1 or 2. But it was always kombucha, I think, that really helped me to breeze through that time in my life because I didn't even really notice any difference. Because it's fantastic, guys. It helps with so many things. Adrenals, it also helps like in the afternoon when people's adrenals get lower because of stress or because of seasonal allergies. Kombucha is something you should reach for. Just try it and see if it helps you. Go to the store and buy a bottle and see if in the afternoon or if sometime when you're tired, if you drink it, it will help you. It's a powerful drink and it's bubbly and it takes the place of pop for me because it's naturally occurring carbonation in kombucha. And it has so many qualities to it that I love. It has a special probiotic yeast in it called Saccharomyces boulardii, and it is so powerful. And it's resistant to the stomach acids, and it can't be killed by an antibiotic. So you can take this when you're taking antibiotics, because it is also acts like a decoy to other harmful bacteria, and it attracts it to this particular bacteria, and then when it gets over there, it kills it. And so it really works very, very well. It doesn't last in the body but more than a couple of days, so it's a good idea to have kombucha every couple of days, but I don't think that'll be a problem because it's really delicious. There's fruit flavored versions, and here's the deal: all the sugar is being eaten by the culture, so you get about, I think in the fruit flavored versions, it's like 6 to 7 carbohydrates in it, and that's just depending on how long it's fermented. The longer it ferments, the less carbs you'll get in it. But the regular kombuchas has about 3 carbs because it's just most of the sugar is gone, if that, depending on how long you ferment it. And fermenting it longer is not better. It's a bubbly drink that you make by putting tea in a jug with a culture, and you let it sit on your counter for about a week, and it makes you, a gallon of kombucha, and you can flavor it. And I just did a big thing on my blog about how to fruit flavor your kombucha. You have to check it out. It's just last week, I think I did it, or maybe the week before. But it teaches you how to make fruit flavors. And I'm into lemon right now because I just love the lemon kombucha is one of my favorite. And sometimes I'll stick ginger in there. And my daughter, Macy, makes me my kombucha. And she comes up with all kinds of flavors that are really delicious. It was a great alternative to pop. It's so much better for you, and there's so many benefits to it. So, and it's one of those things that I'm so glad I have it in my fridge. You guys, so many times I need something that, just kind of gives you a pickup, and there's just nothing like it. It's delicious. We have a kind of a ritual we've been doing at night. We have a little fire pit in our backyard, and so my daughter and I and my husband will all go out every night, and we drink kombucha, and we turn on the fire pit and we watch the sun go down. And we think it's so fun. We love this. We think it's just like the best thing ever because it's fun to watch and it's fun to drink, and it gives us that pickup, that, I don't know, it just helps you digest your food. It's terrific. It's got all kinds of abilities to assist you in living this life. And let me go over some of those qualities that it has. It assists the liver in cleansing and detoxifying you. It is fantastic for weight loss, by the way. That was one of the reasons that the founder of GT, who founded GT's Synergies Kombucha, which I absolutely love, his mom started drinking it because she was using it to help her lose weight. And she found out she had breast cancer, and it was a really aggressive kind. It was stage 4. And they went to the doctor, and the thing had stopped growing. And the doctor couldn't believe it. He was shocked. And so the only thing she had done different was make kombucha. And her son, GT, was so grateful for this that he started making and selling kombucha because he believed it saved his mom's life. And you can read that story on their website. It's pretty neat. But anyway, that's one of the things that she was using it for, and I've used it for that. It's terrific because it supplies you with some nutrients that your body needs. And it also will support your immune system. That's another wonderful thing. If you get that adrenal fatigue, drink a kombucha. It's awesome. It would really help you. And don't listen to me. Try it for yourself and see if it doesn't make a difference. You can buy them at the store, and it's so much cheaper to make it, and it's fun. But if you don't, you can always buy it because there's so many good brands. There's a couple brands that I don't recommend because they're pasteurized, but most of them are pretty authentic. Most of them are good. GT's is fantastic. I'm trying to think of the other different names of kombucha. There's so many out there that are really good. And if they're in the refrigerator section, usually they're pretty good. And you can see on the back that they have live cultures, so you'll know they're good. They also boost energy. That's a given for me. That's what I love kombucha for. They also help prevent kidney stones. And I put a lot of research on this in my book, Cultured Food for Health. And I encourage you to check that book out. I have a new book, Cultured Food in a Jar, that just came out that I think is the best of all of them. But if you want health benefits, Cultured Food for Health is the one that has a lot of the health benefits in there that are more specific. And I had a really wonderful story from a woman. I think I shared it last week on my podcast. And she was having kidney problems, was going to have to go on dialysis. And when she started eating cultured food, she didn't have to. So it's interesting. One of the reasons that it works for kidney stones too is because when you have a lot of good bacteria in your system, it helps eat those toxins in the urea, and so that they don't accumulate and turn into stones. And that's one of the things all the cultured foods do. And kombucha does it quite well, but so does kefir too. And so I encourage you, if you're having problems with kidneys, to really check out taking more probiotic foods and adding to your diet, because it will greatly assist you. It also, we talked about the cancer thing. Actually, I think there was a thing that Ronald Reagan said he drank it when he had cancer, and it helped him. And I've had several other people tell me that. My web guy got cancer, and that was, I didn't know him before I found out he was diagnosed with cancer. He had contacted me to learn how to make kombucha because he found out he had stage 3 lymphoma, and he's got a great story. And if you want to hear that story, go to the podcast that talks about cancer and cultured foods. He was on there with me, and you can hear his story. It also protects the lining of the stomach by attaching to it and keeping away the other harmful pathogens. And it has the antibiotic-resistant probiotic yeast in it that cannot be killed by antibiotics. So it's a fantastic thing to drink if you have any kind of antibiotic, because it will help you to keep those good bacteria alive inside of you. Plus, it's pretty delicious. So this is my trilogy: kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables. I have about 1 cup to 2 cups of kefir a day. I have a couple spoonfuls of cultured vegetables a day, sometimes more. It depends on what I'm making or eating, but at least a pickle, or I have a few spoonfuls with a meal, or, just whatever. I like my jicama, if you're sick of mom recipe, and I have a video on that on YouTube. Love that. I pull those out of the jar every day. My daughter and I have been eating those every day. And then kombucha, I usually have about 8 to 16 ounces, sometimes more, depending on what's going on in my life, but at least that. And that's what I do every day. It's not a lot. It seems like it. And guys, these are really easy to make. I don't do anything that's hard because it's just, I don't have time. And I try to make it really easy for you. And there's a lot of people out there who make this complicated, but quite frankly, I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 15 years. So I've lived this. I still do it every day. And I do it every day because if I don't feel as well. And I know all the turns and tips and tricks to all of this because I've done it so long. They're a part of my life. They are a part of my family, these foods. And I love them. And I want you to reap the benefits of it because I know how much it changed my life. And I know what it's like to not feel good. And I know what it's like to feel good. And you don't know how bad you feel till you find out how good you can feel. And that's the truth. I didn't know that I was feeling that bad until I felt good. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. It was bad. It was so bad before. I didn't even realize how bad it was. So I want those benefits for you because when you're happy and healthy, you change everybody's life around you. No matter what's going on in your life, there's circumstances and all these things in our lives that come at us. But when you change yourself, you change everybody around you. It is just inevitable. It just happens. You can't stop the effect. And that's why I want everybody to feel good. So as Socrates said, don't grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which your body is capable. And just to add on to that, and please understand those 100 trillion microbes that make you their home are here to help you. They're placed in you for a very powerful reason. And I am their voice and their messenger. And it is my great pleasure to help you understand the power of these microbes that live inside of us because they changed my life in a powerful way. And I sure hope they will change yours too.